Hi, I'm Sean. Welcome to Club Fed True Stories. So today's video is going to be about some questions I've been getting. Some people have called me up that are on pretrial. They've been indicted. They haven't been sentenced yet. So the big question is, how much time am I going to get? The next question they ask is, will I go to a camp? Will I go to a low? Will I get probation? There's a lot of questions, and then how do I find all this out? And you hear about custody level points, and you hear about criminal level points, and there's this sentencing table that everybody talks about. If you watch a lot of these other prison consultant videos, and it can be really confusing. And there's offense level points, and what points do I have for this, and what points do I have for that, and so I'm going to try to explain it. I hope I don't confuse you, but I'm going to talk about my case. I did wire fraud. I actually falsely prepared tax returns for people. I did it for homeless guys, drug addicts, tweaker friends. I did a lot of them. I owe the government $1.7 million. That's the amount of refunds that I got for people. I didn't take that. I took 20%. I had people helping me, had a lot of co-defendants, but I was the leader. So when it came to sentencing, I was the last one to get sentenced. They wanted to make sure I got more time than anybody else. I ended up getting a 52-month sentence with a restitution of $1.7 million. So let me start by showing you my plea deal. And if you could do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. This video I'm going to try not to confuse you. There's two sets of points, okay? You're going to hear all kinds of terms. There's 2 point systems. There's a point system for how much time you're going to get, okay? And that goes from 1 to 43. So 0 to 43, actually. If you got 43, this is your offense level, okay? So there's two kinds of points. One set of points tells you how much time you're going to get. The other one tells you where you're going to do your time. Is it going to be at a camp, at a low, at a medium, at a penitentiary, or the 88 Supermax? So you have your in custody, your custody level points. That's where you're going to go. First, I'm going to talk about how much time you're going to get. Because if you don't got any time, who cares where you're going to go? Because you're not going to go anywhere, right? So I have links, by the way. If you click down, it says description, and click like read more, it'll open up. I've got all kinds of links so you can get a copy of the sentencing table. I got Walt Pavlo's Prisonology website link. I've got links to check them out. There's like 30 links that all tell you about how the calculators for your custody level, how to get an RDAP, character reference letters, samples, just a whole bunch of good links there. Just check them all out, and you can always Google how much time am I going to get, and it'll give you just resources after resources. So on this sentencing table, and I got a link. So if you can see, there's numbers from 1 to 43. At the end, 43 is a life sentence. Now, I highlighted in yellow, I got 24 points. So out of my 24 points that I got, there's 6 different categories. So it could go anywhere from 51 months all the way to 125 months. I was considered category 4 because of my criminal history. So your criminal history is usually any crimes you committed within 10 years. Now, they can go back 20, 30 years. They usually don't use that against you, but they can. These are the feds. The feds can do anything they want to do to you. Once you've been indicted, my friend, I'm sorry, you're going to get convicted. They've got like a 96.4 conviction rate. And then the few people I've talked to in prison that won a case, well, I talked to them in prison. I'm like, well, you won a case. What are you doing in prison? Because after they won that case, the feds knocked on the door. You know, 6 months later, hey, we found another charge. We're gonna get you on this one. You piss them off, they're gonna. You just can't win with the feds. I'm sorry, my friend. You can hope for probation. Um, Everybody hopes to get probation. Now with the pandemic and stuff, and if you've got, health conditions and all that, maybe you can get a home confinement, but they usually don't give you that till after you've checked in at the prison hotel. And now you can check back out to home confinement. The judge usually doesn't just say, okay, you're overweight, you got diabetes, there's a pandemic going on. I was going to give you 5 years, but you can just stay at home and wear an ankle bracelet. The feds, they're not that compassionate, man. They're not. So in my case, I was a category 4, right, because of my criminal history. So my criminal history consisted of a 1/4 gram of cocaine. I wrote a bad check, and a 1/2 gram of cocaine. And this was all like 9-10 years ago. So I had a little drug and alcohol problem, which I am in recovery now. Haven't touched drugs in over 4 years. Watch a lot of my videos. You'll see how I'm clean and sober now. I do AA. I work the 12 steps. I try to help out people in that area to stay clean and sober, so we don't ever have to go to prison. But so my plea deal was, let me show you that. So they gave me a plea deal. And if you can see here, so I had a base offense level of 7. I have a restitution of $1.7 million. And that costed me 16 points. And then there was a specific offense characteristic that was a +4. So that comes out to 27. So the more money you've ripped off or you stole, hopefully you've got to the point where you admitted you've committed the crime. Because now you're asking, well, how much time am I going to get? If you're still in denial, you're probably not even thinking how much time am I going to get, because you're in denial that you did it. It's a process. This pretrial took me 4 years. So my specific offense characteristic where I got the 4 points, that was called a leadership role. I had taught other people how to do tax returns because I had so many of these homeless guys coming to me, we couldn't keep up. So I had co-conspirators. Some of them snitched on me, whatever you want to call it, and that's the way it is in the white-collar world. I've forgiven them. I haven't talked to them, but I'm not angry. It's just the way it is. I was at the top, so I got an extra 4 points. So there's a thing called acceptance of responsibility, and that basically means telling on yourself. They'll take 3 points off for that. So I took the acceptance of responsibility. Basically, you're going to plead guilty. I'm going to sit in a room with the prosecutor and the DA. And I'm going to write down, yeah, I did this. I did these tax returns. I falsely made up figures and stuff just to get these homeless guys money. This is how I did it. And they took 3 points off, so it gave me 24 points. So for the category 4, my plea deal was for 77 to 96 months. So I told you I got a 52-month sentence. I got the judge to go all the way down to category 1, and the minimum for that is 51 to 63. The way I got the judge to do that was I came up dirty on my pretrial. I violated a couple times for getting high while I was on pretrial those 4 years, and I got to go to a drug program called Newbridge. I just did a video about that. I even didn't show up for court, and I was on the run. And anyways, I turned myself into this program. It was a 3-month program. I stayed for 6 months. And because I did that program, the judge took 2 years off my sentence. She gave me from category 4 to category 1. But I also did a lot of other things. I was feeding homeless people on Friday nights. There was this little ministry called Off the Street Ministries. We get in a van and we handed out blankets and jackets and socks and lunches and hygiene We did this every Friday night for hours. We found all these homeless streets full of tents. We did this. I also volunteered at Alcoholics Anonymous in the central office, and I answered phones, and I made schedules for AA meetings, and I did anything they asked me to do in that office. I also volunteered and cooked at that Off the Street Ministries. It was also a drug program, and so they let me stay there. For what I did was I cooked 7 days a week. I cooked lunch and dinner for, they had a little program of like 40 guys, and so I cooked lunch and dinner for them in exchange for room and board, which was nothing. But so I cooked for free, but I got a bed to sleep on, and I did all these things, and the judge looked at that on sentencing day and said, "You've already started to change your ways. You change your life. I've seen you can do this before I've even sentenced you, so that shows me there's hope for you, and I hope that you continue to do this when you get out of prison." And I have been. So let me talk about your case. So you want to stay away from 43, okay? You don't want 43 because you're getting a life sentence. If you can get a offensive level between 1 and 8, you're looking at 0 to 6 months in any category, and that's probation, or it's a halfway house. That's called Zone A. Zone B, that's 9 to 11, and you're looking at 8 to 14 months, all the way up to 8 to 15 months. That could still be probation, or it could be a halfway house with probation. It could be home confinement. That one there, not necessarily going to prison. But once you get into Zone C, you're looking at 10 to 12 months, all the way up to 12 to 18 months if you're Category 6. So Category 6, if you've had 3 DUIs and you got, passed a bad check or something, you're probably Category 6. Me, I had 2 felonies for little quarter-gram drug possession charges. I think one of them was even 15 years before that. And I had a bad check I wrote, and it was a misdemeanor. So I still had Category 4. You need to talk to your public defender or your lawyer about your custody level, your offense level. They should have charts, and they can go over this all with you. If you get 14 points to 27 points, you're not going to do more than 10 years. And that means you qualify so far to go to a camp. So 27 points, that's what I got. That was $1.7 million restitution. Had I only had a $50,000 restitution, it would have went way down. I might only been sentenced to 2 years. If you got 28 points or more, you're looking at 10 to 20, 30 years in prison. So you want to keep it underneath 28, okay? Nobody wants to do any time at all. I get it. 28, you don't want to go there. If you get a 28, take that accountability, take that acceptance of responsibility, and get the 3 points taken off. Some people think that's a snitching. You're snitching on yourself. Okay. It does have you sign a thing that if they want to call you to testify at court or something, that they could. Me, I know nobody everybody was underneath me, so I was lucky there. But basically, you're going to plead guilty, and you're going to say, I did it, and you're going to write it down and say, I did it. And that saves them time. Then they know you're not going to go trial. You're not going to waste them all that money. They'll take 3 points off. So the next thing, check out all my links and descriptions, because I can't tell you how much time you're going to get, because I don't know your crime. My phone number's in the description, too. I had a kid call me up. He's like 21 years old. And $45,000, I think, was his damages, his money damages. So he's not looking at a lot of time. And he was never been arrested. He said it was his first time doing anything. But what's going to hurt him is the fact that he's 21 years old. Because here we go with the custody classification. So this is the other sets of points. The first points I went over, try not to go over a 28. Anything under 28, you're only going to do 10 years or less, and it just goes down from there. And you probably qualify for a camp, unless you've got violence. If there was a gun involved in your charge, and especially if the gun was used, because I've seen people go to camp that had a gun in the car, but it wasn't used for the crime, or a gun in the house, but it wasn't used for the crime, and they went to a camp. But if you've got a 28 or more, you're not going to camp. For one, you can't do camps. You have to do 10 years or less to be in a camp. 15 years or less to be or low. Anything more than 15 years, they send you to a medium or a penitentiary. I wouldn't want to go to one of those places. If you see my videos on life at a camp, it's club fed. It was club fed to me, especially from the lifestyle I came from, which wasn't that glamorous. Trust me, been homeless and everything else. It was club fed to a guy like me. Let me talk about your custody classification. So, in order to get in the camp, you can't have more than 11 points. 1 to 11 points. These are not the sentencing guideline points anymore. These are your in custody points, your classification level points. So these are the points that tell you where you get to go. So 1 to 11 is a camp. 11 to 15 is a low. So not many points more. 15 to 20 is a medium, and 20 and up, you're going to the penitentiary. So 15 points, a camp or low is where you want to go. Okay, trust me, you don't want to go to a medium. You don't want to go to a penitentiary. And I hope you don't have to go anytime. I hope you don't go to any of these places. But a camp or a low, you will be safe. You don't have to join a gang. You don't have to show paperwork. You don't have to prove yourself. You're not going to have to fight for your life. And, you're not going to be nobody's bitch. Nothing's going to happen to you unless you cause it. You get a $1,000 gambling bet, or you tell on somebody with a cell phone, you might get the shit beat out of you. I've never heard of anybody getting shanked in a camp. Not to say it can't happen, but fights break out. It's usually over money. Or somebody telling on somebody. So if you're going to do your telling, you tell that at the courthouse. When you get to the camp, you better straighten up. They're not going to ask where to see your paperwork, but you go to a penitentiary, you find out. You don't want to go. They want to see your paperwork. If you're a pedophile, a chomo, a chester, you're going to a low, and thank God I didn't have to go to a low. I don't want nothing to do with pedophiles, child molesters. I hope you're not even watching my channel. Go away. Find another prison channel. Don't watch me. So, in order to get to camp, you want to have less than 11 points. So, in order to get to, so there's a whole bunch of ways you can add your points. But let's start with your age. So, if you're 55 and over, 0 points. I was 53 when I went in, so that makes me 36 to 54. That's 2 points. So right now I got 2 points. If you're 25 to 35, that's 4 points. If you're under 24 years old, that's 8 points. And you want that 11 points to go to the camp. So this guy I talked to, man, he's only got a window of 3 points left. If you have a GED or a high school diploma, 0 points. But if you don't, guess what? I didn't have a GED. 2 points added. So now I got 2 and I got 2. This is so hard to read, guys. Drug and alcohol abuse. Now, I did have that, and that added a point. But if I didn't have the drug and alcohol abuse on my pre-sentence report, I wouldn't have got into RDAP, and I wouldn't have got a year off, and I wouldn't have got a 6 months early release to a halfway house. So that 1 point, I needed to have that so I can get into RDAP. So now I'm up to 5 points. But I went in with 11 points. I don't want to go over everything. My criminal history got me. That got me. I think that was a 6 points there and the 5. And that did it. So then the last thing that happens, if you're out on pretrial, and you're out on a bond, or you're out on bail, and you go and you get sentenced, let's say you get sentenced to 24 months, and you got a custody level of 8 points. And or take my friend that called me up, and he's 21 years old. Let's say he's just right there. He's got the 11 points. They give him 24 months prison time. Now, where are you going to go? I wanted an RDAP. So, and I live in California. There's no RDAP in California at a camp. Now, the mediums and the lows have RDAP. But I needed to find a state that had RDAP that was a camp. So I know Sheridan in Oregon had it. For a lot of people from California go. I picked Florence in Colorado because I had a buddy out there, and I was going to go visit him for a few days and turn myself into prison. And that's what I did. But after I got sentenced, I didn't have to. I got to self-surrender. So they gave me 60 days to get my affairs in order. So when you get sentenced, ask the judge, can I have a little time to get my affairs in order and self-surrender? Now, you want to self-surrender to the prison, not to the marshal's office like my lawyer told me. So I went through four court-appointed lawyers because I had a conflict of interest. All those co-conspirators, they kept giving me a lawyer and said, well, there's another guy on my case that knows you, Sean, so I have to. They're going to give you a new lawyer. The first 3 were really good. The last one was just there for my sentencing, and this guy just was getting paid to show up at court and hear me get sentenced. But this guy steered me wrong. So here's what I get. I get in the mail about a month after. This is called your designation notification. You're going to get this in the mail, and it's going to tell you where you get to go. Now, I highlighted here in yellow, if you could see there, it says Florence Medium. Florence Medium SCP. I freaked out. It said here, VS, so my voluntary surrender, yes. And my date to turn myself in is 5/2/2017. Now, I freaked out when it said Florence Medium. So I called up one of my prison consultant buddies, RDAP Dan and Walt Pavlo. I got links to their stuff on there. Those guys really helped me out. I didn't hire them. I had no money, but they answered the phone. And over the 4 years of my pretrial, they did a lot of work for me. Walt Pavlo sent $100, put it on my books every month while I was in prison. RDAP Dan also sent me some money on his live streams that he does. He passed the hat and people put in money, and he sent that to me. He sent me $50 2 or 3 times, and he also paid to get my driver's license and my social security card because that costed $30 for this and $25 for that, and he sent it to the camp, and both those guys helped me out. And I talked to those guys today. If you can afford one of those guys, go ahead and do it, but don't, if you can't afford it, use the money for your family or yourself. What happened here was I thought I was going to a camp, and I called my lawyer up, and I said, why does it say Florence Medium? He says, I guess you're going to a medium. What? Our Dan and Walt Pavlo told me, call the prison and ask them. I called the prison, and, hi, Florence Prison, can we help you? Yeah, I got a designation notice here, and it says I'm going to the medium, but I'm supposed to go to a camp. Can you tell me, where I'm going to go? They said, we can't tell you that till you get here. Walt Pavlo told me he's never heard of anybody turning themselves into a medium, self-surrendering to a medium. I've never heard of it now either. He told me to call up the judge's chamber to the judge's own personal clerk. So every judge has a clerk in their office. So I called up that clerk, and the lady answered. She was very nice and helpful, and she said, no, you're going to a camp. The reason it says medium is because that's where you have to check into, like at the hotel lobby. She says you might have to go see the camp was a satellite. So the main facility is the medium, and you might check in there, and they'll walk you across the street to the camp. And if you see my first day in prison, I didn't have to go through that. They took me right into the camp, and they were nice, and it was such a relief that first day. I slept so good that first night. All my prison fears and nightmares did not happen. That camp, I have a lot of good memories there. It did me a world of good. And watch some of my other videos. So, no matter what, when you get this designation letter, My lawyer also told me that I had to turn myself into the marshal. So no matter what, if you get this letter, you can show up at the prison door. Hi, I'm here to check in. My lawyer told me I couldn't do that. He goes, you can't go to Colorado and walk up to the prison. This lawyer was an idiot. Now, this is the fourth lawyer they gave me, and he was only there for sentencing, but I don't want to give his name because if he sees this video, that's all I need. But don't always listen to your attorneys, but ask them lots and lots of questions. But if you got a private attorney, they don't always know the federal system. They might be a good state lawyer, but the feds is something completely different. I say save your money and use a federal public defender. They usually give you a federal lawyer. They don't usually give you a public defender. Even though the first one I had was from the public defender's office for United States Northern District of California, and that guy was really good. They're not overworked like these state public defenders. And I hope this video did not confuse you. Look at all the links I got on the description, and they will help you. I'm even confused, but I hope I gave you some information. Please subscribe, hit the like button. Oh, my next video is going to be better. Thanks for watching, guys.